power by the corporations by their acts. In other words, to exercise their power, they must meet at the meeting at which there is quorum. I already stipulated, class, what is all about the quorum. It should be emphasized at least 50 plus 1%. Otherwise, class, quorum is not properly observed. Sir, can I raise a question? What if the article of incorporations clearly stated that the quorum should be 60%? What is now the governing rule? Since, class, the article of incorporations properly stated that the corporation is mandated to observe the 60% ruling, it should be properly exercised. Ano pang ibig sabihin po nito, sir? What if hindi po sila umabot ng 60%? Umabot lang po sila, sir, sa 50 plus 1. Meron po bang proper quorum? And it is clearly answered by the law, class, wala pong proper quorum. Quorum. Bakit po? From the start po, sinabi na po ng corporation that they properly observe the 60% ruling. Okay? Ibig sabihin, yung 50 plus 1 quorum, class, it's a general rule. Sir, question, follow-up question. What if the corporation is properly stated 45% as quorum? Okay? 45. What is now the governing principle? They cannot properly observe the 45%. Ibig sabihin, class, pag pataas, more than sa 50 plus 1, there is a proper quorum. Okay? Pag lumagpas po doon, class, ang corporation, hindi po nagva-violate ng law. Wala pong violations with regard to the Constitution, to the revised new corporation code. Wala po. Pero pag pinababaan po yan, class, ng 49 or even 50 without plus 1, there is no quorum. It's a violations under the law. Okay? Okay? Sana naiintindihan nyo, class, ha? Basta ang rules and regulation, 50 plus 1, may quorum. Pag ang gusto po ng corporation, more than the 50 plus 1, pwede po yun. However, pag less than 50 plus 1, wala pong proper quorum. The constitutions will exactly intervene with the corporation. Okay? Terms of office of the directors or trustee. The board of directors or trustee to be elected shall hold office for 1 year and until successors are elected and qualified. Sir, question. It is mandated by the rules of law, class, that 1 year is properly emphasized. However, class, pwede naman po kay class may ilagay po yan sa Article of Incorporation. For example, the ABC Corporations wants to hold the office for 2 years. Pwede naman po yon. Okay? Yung 1 year niyan, class, as a general rule. We're dealing with, tatandaan lang po natin, class, we're discussing on the general perspective. However, class, if the Security and Exchange Commission properly approve, okay, all the rules and governing functions under the AOI, class, binding naman po yan sa law. Okay? Bakit po, sir? Inapprove na po yan, properly scrutiny, class, properly observed, properly delegated, and properly designated lahat po ng provisions ng law. Kaya, class, approved na po yan. Okay? Next. Okay? Next, qualifications. What are the different qualifications of directors? Number 1, every director must own at least 1 share of the capital stock. The share of stock held by the director must be registered in his name. Every director must continuously own at least a share of stock during his term. Take note of that, class, ha? It is clearly stipulated, class, with regard to the qualifications of BOD or Board of Directors. Number 1, sabi po dito, class, must at least 1 share. Meron ka po daw at least 1 share of the capital stock. The share of stock held by the director must be registered. It is properly registered in my name. Okay? For example, nakapangalan po yun, class, na 1 stock, okay? 1 share of stock, class, under my name, being a candidate for board of director. Nakapangalan po yun. Otherwise, class, madi-disregard ang application mo. Every director must continuously own at least a share of stock during his term. Once you are approved or once you are properly designated as BOD, class, it's a continuous process for you to earn, okay, a share of stock during his term. Bakit po sir kailangan? Is may properly stock na may stock na naman po ako. Di ba, class? Take note, class. that the main purpose of a corporation, especially the stock corporation, it's to gain profit. Ibig sabihin, you are attracting in, you are properly properly proper designations to your board of directors and other subordinates class para magkaroon po class ng mga investment. Okay? Pag hindi ka din class nag-i-invest on your particularity, ibig sabihin class hindi mo din tinatangkilik ang corporation. That's the main purpose class. Ibig sabihin you're attracting investors. And here comes class, ikaw ayaw mo magpaluwal, ayaw mo magbigay. Okay? Kaya as mandated by the law, the director must continuously, take note, must continuously own at least a share of stock during his term. Okay? Wala naman po class na in-specified ng law na palakasan, padamihan. Sabi po dito, at least one. Okay? One. Pero class kung if you are dreaming to become the CEO or the chairman of the board, okay, dapat class consensus po 'yon. At least hawak mo ang 50 plus 1. Okay? Corporate officers, the officers chosen by the board of the directors, trustees are responsible for the day-to-day running of the corporation. Okay? By the hierarchy class, president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, and the general manager. Take note class ha, ang general manager medyo mababa na po siya, no? Pero ang taas po ng function niyan. Okay, bakit po? Ang general manager kasi class, they are binding with the employer in employee relationship. Okay po. Ibig sabihin po class, don't expect class that a general manager class, meron po siyang capital stock. Bakit po? Okay, run-to-run business po kasi ito. It's mandated to run day-to-day. Okay, ibig sabihin, siya po yung nag-take over. Okay? Kaya eto class, binding po ito ng employer in employee relationship. Okay? On the other hand, the president, vice president, secretary, and the treasurer class, it is mandated by the law class to at least one share of the capital stock. Okay? And during their tenure, they must to continuously at least a share of stock. Okay? Period. You can no longer rebut what is already stipulated under the law. Okay? Next. Limit liability of directors. Take note, class, ha? Pag nakita nyo, class, ang word na liability, take note of the word solidary and jointly liability. Okay? Under the principle of obligations in contract, you are totally aware with the principle of solidarity. Solidarity class, binding the whole world. Whether in class, jointly liability class, it's the pro rata, 50-50%. Okay? As the general rule. The directors of a corporation as its agents. Take note of that. It's merely you are the representative of the corporation itself. They are personally liable for any wrongful dispositions of the corporate assets and for any loss or injury to the corporation. Take note of that. Remember the principle of doctrine of bursting the corporate bail of entity. Take note, class. Pag you are bad faith, una pong tatanggal po yun sa inyo. Una pong magsiseparate po yun sa inyo. On the other hand, kung if you are good faith, you are acting on your duties and responsibility, it will totally clock, it will totally shield. Okay? Bakit po, sir? Yun po yung una po kasi sa inyo, sir. Una pong lalaban po sa inyo. Take note, there are lots of Supreme Court decisions, class, that totally extinguish liability of the board of directors wherein class, they totally saturate under that principle. Okay? Madami na class na dismiss ang Supreme Court. Okay? Alleging that the board of the director is within their duties and responsibility. And the doctrine will totally clock, will totally protect, will totally shield on that. Okay? Directors are not liable, however, for business losses incurred because of honest bad judgment. Yun lang po ang kailangan niyo po, class. Okay? Wag na wag po kayo sooner or later, class. For example, Mr. Evangelista, masyado na po siyang mayaman and he decided to invest or to gain capital stock or capital stock class in Meralco. Later part class, sobrang lang taas ng investment niya. And until such time, the board of the directors wants Mr. Evangelista to join the seat, becoming a board of the director. Wag po kayo class matatakot. Bakit? Strictly privilege. Pag pumasok ka class sa isang Meralco office, nandun ang pangalan mo, Board of Directors. Di ba? Ang sarap din po yun sa pakiramdam. Okay? Pero class, with regard to the liability, as long as within the function, take note class ha, ang board of directors, isa lang po naman ang general rule nun ang iboboto mo. Okay? It's a yes or no lang naman po ang laging sinasagot po nun. Okay? Ibig sabihin nito class, kung may 10 po kayo nito class, yes, 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 no, 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 yes. Kung ano po dun ang sagot, hindi po kayo kaagad magiging, for example class, the board of the directors or the judgment of the corporations class, it's become illegal. For example na lang class, naging illegal po yung decision. Okay? Binding po kayo, hindi naman literally po, ang una pong hahabulin ng creditors, it's the corporation itself. Tapos iisa-isahin po yan ng court. Sino ba dito ang mga liable? Of expressing you, yes? Hindi naman po. Ititingnan lang po doon, sino-sino po ba ang may illegal na nangyari, illegal na transaction. Otherwise, kung you're just expressing your personal opinion with regard to the decisions of the corporations, wala po kayong pananagutan. Okay? Yan. Powers. Okay? Now we're going class to discuss all about the powers of corporations. Take note. Okay? Principal, juridical, and natural person. Lagi niyo pong tatandaan ha, paulit lang po tayo. Pero class, yun po ang pinaka-principle natin with regard to the powers. Okay? Corporate powers and capacity. Power to sue and be sued. Okay? Tatandaan lang po natin yung power to sue and be sued. Ano pang ibig sabihin po dito? This power is an incident to corporate existence. Suits are to be brought by or against the corporation, its own name. For example, class, yung power na to, pwede pong mag-file ng case, okay, ang corporation against to other corporation. Or vice versa, the state or the creditor itself may file a case against the corporation. ABC Corporation versus BCD Corporation, or vice versa, People of the Philippines versus ABC Corporation. In short, pwede po siyang mag-file ng case and pwede po siyang file ng case. Okay? Yun po yung power po ng corporation, ha? Okay? Sir, ano bang ibig sabihin po dito? Okay? Pag ang nagkaso po sa inyo, class, it's the state. People of the Philippines versus ABC Corporation. Represented by. Okay? Represented by, for example, Evangelista RJ in his capacity as chairman of the board. Okay? Nakalagay po doon ha, nakalagay. In his, sir, pwede pong ikulong si Mr. Evangelista being the chairman of the board? No, hindi po. Okay? Ang sinasalo lang po ni Mr. Evangelista, the corporation itself, he is merely the agents of the corporation. Kaya nga po may nakalagay po doon, in his capacity, being the board, chairman of the board. Okay? Siya lang po ang magre-represent. Siya po ang may kasamang lawyer, siya po ang magde-defend sa corporation. That's the main function. Okay? Okay? Vice versa naman po. Paano po, sir, pag nag-file po ang corporations against other corporation? For example, ABC ang pangalan ng corporation, magpa-file po siya sa 123 Corporation. Okay? ABC Corporation represented by, okay, Evangelista RJ in his capacity as chairman of the board versus 123 Corporation represented by Barte Mary Joy in her capacity as board of director. Ibig sabihin, class, the court is expected that Mr. Evangelista and Miss Barte, nandun po siya, being the agents of the corporation. Okay? Ganun po sila. Okay? By evidence, magpe-present si Mr. Evangelista on her defense, Miss Barte will also present the evidence. Okay? Doon na po yun pagbabasehan kung sino po ang tama. Power to adopt and use a corporate seal. A seal is a device used to identify or replace the signature of an individual or organization into authentic written matter. Take note, class, ha? Yung corporate seal na po nito, ang nagbibigay po nito, class, it's the SEC. Okay? Security and Exchange. Kasama po yung approval, certificate of approval. Okay? Yun po yun, class, ha? Kaya po, isa po to sa mga binabalik once po, class, na ite-terminate na ang corporation. Power to acquire and convey property. Take note, class, ha? Power to acquire and convey property. For example, ABC Corporations wants to buy or to acquire house at to acquire land and building. Okay, they're planning, class, to put another corporation, another building for the corporation. Okay, and they decided, class, the board of the director decided, class, to buy house and lot and building. Okay, yan, nabili na po nila yun, class. Ang magre-represent pa rin po doon, class, ha? Okay, for example, Miss Andres Ludwig, it's the seller. Okay, siya po yung may papagmay-ari. Ang mangyayari po noon, class, it's ang seller, it's si Miss Andres Ludwig. Ang buyer po, si corporation. ABC Corporation represented by. Okay? Sir, for example po, si Mr. Evangelista po ang nagre-represent sa ABC Corporation. Can Mr. Evangelista sell the property in his enjoyment? The answer is no. Bakit po? Ang pagmamay-ari po ng building and lot po nun is still the corporation. Okay? Kailangan po ng class ng Board of Resolution. Wherein Mr. Evangelista is given his capacity to sell the property. Saan po ang proceed ng property? Sa corporation. But on the other hand, if it is on the gainful act or profit of Mr. Evangelista, being the board of the being the chairman of the board, he cannot. Okay? Kahit po nakapangalan po yung word na in his capacity. Take note, class, ha? Pag word in his capacity, ibig sabihin, they are merely properly recognized by the corporations being the chairman. On the other hand, class, ang nagiging superiority pa rin, it's still the juridical person where the corporation itself. Okay? Hindi po pwede. Sir, pag nangutang po ba si Mr. Evangelista, pwede niya pong gamitin po yun as a collateral? No, hindi. Hindi pa rin po, class. Take note, class, ha? The law is clearly stipulate, class. In short, wala pong pagmamay-ari si Mr. Evangelista. Lahat po ng pagmamay-ari nun, class, it's on the corporation side. Siya lang po ang nagre-represent. Okay? Power to acquire and dispose of shares of security. Okay? Corporation daw, class, it's power. Meron po siyang karapatan or capacity to acquire and dispose of shares or securities. Yes po. Kasi nga, class, pwede po yan ibenta. Pwede po yan, class, emerge. Okay? Later part, class, meron po tayong pag-uusapan with regard to the merger and consolidation. Okay? Ito na po yung pinadiniscuss po nito. Explain ko po later. Power to contribute to charity. Remember, class, when pandemic exists, okay? Di ba, class, way back 2020, when President Duterte calls for help, especially for the private sector, ano pong una pong nag-response po sa kanya? Jollibee Corporation. Wherein